Hey everybody, welcome back for another get together of Tai Chi. So great to see you guys. I appreciate my regulars so much, and if there's anyone new watching this, welcome. Hope you learned something new that you didn't know before. And let's see, so I hate to refer to these as weekly videos anymore because they haven't been coming out every week, but yeah, so things have been changing. We had changes to the yoga schedule, but Tai Chi's remaining pretty much the same except for the videos just aren't quite as frequent. I'm taking everything day by day. So I'd like to, tell you there's great big plans or something, but I'm not making huge plans. The moon is full, you guys, gloriously full, Saturday night. So remember, one of the lunar aspects is this flatness. So instead of this round movement, let's do our loosening as a flat movement. And I'll turn obliquely so you can see what I'm saying. I'm not going like this. I'm going like that. And then make it, once you have the movement, just make it as loose, even looser, even looser. So looseness is like smoothness. You can never be too smooth. You'll always be able to get a little bit looser. Okay. But we're just starting, right? So you may be very tense. If we try this, maybe if I remember, we'll try this later, see if we're any looser at the end of class. Let's do some shoulder rolls. That'll help quite a bit. So what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so I'm taking everything day by day. I may, who knows, in a week or so I may ask you guys if you want to go to the park. If the answer was not unanimous, we would continue the videos. Okay, so don't worry about that. But the video might just be of us in the park, right? Nothing wrong with that. We don't do any editing though. Well, we have fun when we're together, and it might be nice to see that. Or maybe I'll switch to Zoom. I've never liked Zoom, but maybe instead of a video, well, you can record a Zoom session so we could have it live so you could say hi to everybody after class, before and after, but then it would also be recorded for those who weren't able to attend live. I'm just thinking out loud, you guys, just letting you know, let's do our neck, letting you know that there's everything changes, or some things that we want to change are staying the same. So we're just taking it week by week and see how it goes. But I hope you're maintaining your practice. I've been enjoying my Tai Chi maybe now more than ever because it's a sort of stressful time and it's nice to have. So Tai Chi and yoga too, and meditation, they're more than just exercises or practices. They're a form of self-care. And if you're not doing a whole lot of self-care, self-nurturing type things, to take an hour to devote just to yourself is very nurturing. Even if you're not, like everyone imagines like a hot bath or something like that, but this is sort of an equivalent of a hot bath because I require you to be very gentle, with your movements and gentle with yourself. Our mind is in a meditative state. So that's all very nurturing and sort of soul expanding. I hope that there's never any stress. I hope that we don't do anything that's complicated and makes you stressed out. Let's massage our neck and shoulders. Remember, if there's anything you don't understand, don't struggle with it. Just, it'll allow it to sink in. Tai Chi has to sink in. And there's no time frame. I'm still learning, remembering things that my teachers told me 10 years ago that I didn't understand, or I understood them at one level, and then and then just boing, it'll pop into my brain, and I'll understand it at yet another level, a deeper level, right? So what else is new? Let us do a different, so we'll do some full moon or lunar Qigong and Tai Chi, and this will be a review, a little bit of review from a set that we did back in July. And if you want to look at it again, it's actually July 5th, I think. So what we did then was we did a figure eight movement, a loosening movement, but we did it first as silk reeling. So if you'll remember, it's this sort of, this is what we're going for, but we have this pulling. So in silk reeling, there's usually some pulling and some pushing. So there's pulling, and then a little bit of pushing here, and then back to pulling, a little bit of pushing and pulling. And I promised myself I would not bend over. I want to try to keep this. So let's be a little more formal, you guys. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this, my center line, a little more vertical. It doesn't mean I can't twist. I can twist all I want, but I'm not going to get too bent out of shape. I guess that's the perfect phrase to use for when our Tai Chi goes a little off the rails. I'll speak only for myself. I get a little overeager, and then I find that getting a little too expressive. What am I talking about? Is if I went like this. This is not really what we're going for. This is better. Okay, that's good. And why? Because you can feel energy moving up and down the spine when the spine is nice and long, elongated like this. You know, there are movements that we do where we get all bent over, but remember, everything has its own application. So right now I want to find this pivot point and move on this pivot point. Okay, so that's sort of like a silk reeling. Then we can do it as a loosening exercise. So I don't know, I'm not the loosest that I might be, but so now just let your arms go free. You feel the same kind of energy, but it's more loosening. And the reason we were doing this during our full moon set is that all our different versions of, there's different animals gazing at the moon. There's rhinoceros. I think they're all based on the rhinoceros parable that we learned. But they're all sort of looking up and back at the moon, right? Up and back. So this loosening sort of captures that looking back at the moon. I have a little tension in my back, so I've got a built-in excuse. You know, if you have injuries, you may have a very difficult time relaxing and loosening because your body is trying to protect the areas that are injured, and it does that through tension, right? So that's just a natural thing. So let me see what's next. How about, oh yeah, okay. Speaking of gazing at the moon, we have one of the more peculiar moon gazing animals, and this is cat gazing at the moon. I've never seen a Qigong like this before or since. It's the only one I know that's like this. So make your little cat paws, no tension, and rest your paws on your thighs. And then the cat gazes over his shoulder at the moon, and there's a lot going on here. I'm pushing through this arm to lengthen here, and then look over the other. So there's this nice twisting. Oh, it's a great twist. Don't overly torque your neck. Oh, this feels great. And again, this is the only Qigong of this type that I've ever seen. Don't know its lineage. But it's almost like, more like Chinese yoga in a way. Which is Kaimen. That was the word I was that was the word I couldn't think of. Kaimen, Chinese yoga. All right, great. Okay. Oh, that feels so good. All right, so let's see what we have. Okay, how about a really nice mellow Qigong? And this is pure energy work. So when we're not like stretching or strengthening, then it just comes down to pure energy. And speaking of stretching, let's just do some monk picking fruit, because I believe we don't have anything today that really reaches up like this. And then I promise we'll do moon rises and sets over the river, that's pure energy work. Again, so this is energy work, but it has some stretching that we're doing. And then like when we do things that involve sinking down, that's strengthening the legs and the back. But moon rises and sets over the river is pure energy, right? Maybe a little bit of leg strength here. So I'm just taking one of my oblique sort of stances, just one where I can shift my weight. It's an archery stance, basically. The back foot is I'll show you from here. The back foot is just out, and then the front foot's like this. But I'll stand diagonal just so you see what's going on. And I'm going to be shifting my weight forward and back slightly. So here's our river. And we'll just start with the river moving back. I'm shifting back, and then the moon. So we're making just mild sort of moon embracing palms. Moon rises, shift forward, and then sets over the river and make your river. So again, we're not going to do some big stretching, so I'm not lifting my arms way up, but I could if I wanted to. All right, maybe I want to do make it a little more challenging. I could take a wide stance. Yeah, there we go. Uh-oh, sorry. I just changed the whole nature of it. Now I'm turning it more into a stretching and strengthening type of a movement. Sorry, you guys. Sorry, that's just the mood I'm in, okay? So your Qigong and Tai Chi practice is going to change daily and hourly depending on your mood, right? It has to. Talk about a moonrise and a moon set. Boy, oh boy, was that nice on Halloween night. Amazing. Okay, I have not been keeping count, but this will be, no, we'll do one more, so that if you want to make your last one your best one, I always give you that opportunity. Oops. Okay, let's come back in, And we have to do the other side. So step out the other way and just commence. You know, all Qigong has these formal openings and closings, but I just like to get into the movement itself. I'll start out, a little smaller, just feeling the energy, and then maybe just do a little bit more, reach a little higher maybe. Maybe make my moon embracing palms stretching through the fascia here. Maybe not, maybe I just want to just feel the smooth energy. And while we're thinking about rivers and water and stuff, maybe we could get it to rain again. That would be nice. Lengthen my stance a little bit more. Are you remembering to shift forward and back? Good. So it's the shifting back that pulls your hands back. Your hands are not, these movements never originate at your hands, unless I tell you otherwise. So sometimes the movement will originate at the hands, but I'll tell you, I'll give you plenty of warning. So how about this will be our last one. Otherwise, this movement's definitely originating down at the dantian, as usual. All right. So I don't know how gracefully I can step back in. But we'll just close. Let's stand in our resting posture or meditate just for a moment. You can always hold your hands at the dantian. That's another good way to meditate. Feel the warmth of your hands warming the dantian region. If you feel an extra roundness here, thanks to COVID for that. Okay, let's do something else. Oh, this is great. This is hang on a second. Okay. This is a lunar movement called 3 Halos Encircle the Moon. And it's basically a brush knee energy, which brush knee is very common in the Tai Chi form. And it's brush knee, just to review, is this, it's just so much of a whole body movement. It's so linked together, but it's really interesting, the linkage, because you have this sort of side movement of the hand protecting the knee, and then up on top, this hand is going straight out. So see that, feel that? So this is it in its most basic form, called brush knee twist step. I'm not even twisting my step. My feet weren't moving. So that, but it's its most basic form. But then we get into this movement called 3 Halos Encircle the Moon, and we find this in other more obscure forms Oh, and then, so that's the most basic. In our form, it's number 12, I believe. Check in the video notes. We get this knee out of the way before we protect it. So we come back to here, protect the knee, and then we punch down. So we're planting rice. Okay, so that's how ours works. It's oh, but then we have the first halo of the 3 halos. So let me show you this. So the 3 halos are in our form. Okay, so we're doing a push, and then first halo, second halo, third halo, and then this is not a halo. So if you see what I'm referring to, you do it again. So we withdraw the leg, entwine, that's halo number 1, yellow hand, and halo number 2, orange hand, halo number 3, yellow hand, and then actually we punch this in our form. Okay, so, but you see this like in the Wu fast form, you actually see really some really neat things going on. But let's, and this is obviously really good for our balance too, let's turn this into a little bit of a drill here, you guys. So I'll just walk from one side of the room to the other. So I hope you got that sequence. And when I count out this sequence, I don't mean for you to disconnect these movements. The beauty of this movement is it's all connected, but I just want to make it clear. So I'll do that a couple of, maybe once or twice again, but I don't want you to disconnect these movements, right? But maybe to learn it, you know, if you want, whenever you're learning something, if you want to look like a robot, I don't care if it helps you learn it. So if we were going to do that, so we start with our weight forward. This happens to be my left foot. This is my left hand. We withdraw. Okay, 1 halo, 2 halos. That's the orange hand. 3 halos over the knee. Oh, let me show you one more thing before we get into this. This is not just wiping. This is encircling. So it's like encircling the knee. That's why it's another halo. Let me make sure that we're not doing this weird thing with the autofocus. I thought I turned that autofocus off. Okay, thank goodness. Okay, great. So did you see what's going on here? It's I'm going to exaggerate. It's encircling the knee. This hand's not just whoop. Okay, so this hand's very alive and dynamic. Okay, so let's start again. Here we go. Okay. So stopping and starting is, we do that a lot in the live class, right? And we do a lot of repetition. We don't do as much repetition in the video because you can rewind the video. Okay, so same hand and the same foot forward. Happens to be left this time. Next time it'll be right. So we withdraw. And 1 halo, or aura, they call it, 2 aura. No, I'm sorry. Okay. 1 aura, 2 auras, 3 auras, and then step through. Okay? Now it's right foot forward, right hand. Okay. 1 aura, 2 auras, that's my left hand. 3 auras is the brush knee, and then come down, step through. We'll get this. Thanks for withdraw and entwine. 2, 3, and then go. Step through. Okay, now we're getting it. 1, 2, 3. Step through. One more time. In this direction, I should say. Withdraw. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now coming back the other way. I'll just do it smoothly without the disconnection. and without even counting. And just see if you can feel the 3 auras, because as I mentioned back in July, there's more circles in the next movement. And I think what a lot of people do is they steal a circle from the next movement rather than finding all the circles in this movement. And I think I could find even more than 3 circles in this if I tried. And we know, for instance, step through, in the Wu fast form, there's step through. Let's see, I think they go here, 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 here. I think there's one double brush knee, although I can't claim to know. So it's like that, I swear. I think there's something like that. I can't remember exactly, but couldn't tell you why, right? Okay, so I could go back and forth, or you could just rewind the video. So let's see what comes next. So that's 3 halos encircle the moon, or 3 auras. And then it's time for our break, you guys. All right, so we'll come back and we'll do our form. But remember, you can take your break, hit pause, and then do your form as far as you know it. And then, special request, we're going to move on to the 9th movement, you guys. Yay! Okay, and so we won't spend a ton of time on it if the form is not your particular bag, but we will look at it, and you'll enjoy it. And remember, if you're not memorizing the form, just do the movements as if they are qigong, right? So we're going to be doing something like this. So like there. You'll see. Just do as best you can. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back. Okay, you guys, we're going to do our form, but today, remember, we're going to look at movement 9, actually 8 and 9, because it's hard to do one at a time. And then we'll look at the first movement too, so that people who will not be left out that don't know the first 8. So, and this is not as much detail as I could possibly give you, but it's enough to get you started. So, and we've looked at this when we did our snake set, because the first movement is white snake darts out its tongue. But just to review, so I'll go side to side. So we relax, we bow, and then, and just so you know, the bow is, or the salute is the right hand, the left hand covering the right hand. And it's funny because this is supposed to be a peaceful gesture, saying it can either be straight or closed. It's supposed to say that we're not going to fight, but then the first thing we do is fight. So it's a little bit of a contradiction. But all right, we're joined by Steve to show us the safe distanced first movement of the very first movement of the form. I'm A, he's B. Remember, so this is the first one, so we always bow. And then he'll wait forever for A to commence. And remember, he's just observing me, and he won't do anything unless he needs to. So the first thing he sees is my left foot step up, so his corresponding foot steps back, and then my hand comes up. He's in no threat. Even though we're exaggerating our distance, he's still in no threat, even if we were close together. But this is sort of a range finder, or it could be a back of the wrist to his chin strike, or it could be me obscuring his his vision, hiding, or a lot of other things too. But somebody even said me throwing a handful of ground glass into his eyes, right? But anyway, now comes the thing that he really has to react to, and he does dragon pose, and you see how he came around underneath. And as we were discussing before, the most direct action would be for him to just come from the same side and move this out of the way. And that would be good if it was a short punch from here. But it's not a short punch. I stepped all the way through and that gave him the time, the luxury of time to do that. And then not only that, he could have knocked it away with the back of his hand and then entwine too. So there's always options. But so this is what that would look like. So this is my wait, watch this. So this is my COVID punch. So let's do this. Yeah, let's try that. So come back to where we were. This will be my COVID hand. This is guaranteed disinfected. We bow. Okay, so we're gonna do this again. Okay, so watch this, you guys. Okay, this is really cool. See, but now watch, if he wanted to knock it to this side and then come around, that if he felt more safe doing it that way, let's try that. So we bow, and then he does nothing. Okay, so in other words, he could sort of knock this away there and then come around. If I persisted, if I continued to push forward, then see if he can pull me back this way. Whoa! Right? That's what that's really about, is here and then there. If I made the mistake of overcommitting, a lot of what our form does is show us overcommitting to teach us not to do that, right? But that's basically it. So that's basically it. That's the A, 1A and 1B. And thank you very much. Thank you, Steve. So, all right, off we go. So we just did this. Then we do an implied 7 stars. You'll see that in the following video, in the next video after this. Carry hammer, white crane, and then white ape swings through branches. Okay, pivot. And elbow strikes the heart. Ring the gong. So remember, we kind of step around and strike a tiger. You'll see why when we look at this in more depth. And then we sort of do a step around here. You'll see why. 4-strum the lute. And then watch, I'm pivoting. About to do inspect horse's mouth, because this is the 8th movement. And this is before the new movement that we're doing today. So to turn this into an endless loop that not only loops but changes sides, we step back and come into dragon pose. So now I'm in the B. But what we do to not loop, that's what we'll be showing you today. So let's do the B side. Okay. And then we'll get into it. And it won't take long. Okay, so we bow. Relax, meditate here for a couple minutes, I don't care. And then step back into dragon pose, into single whip. Step around, strike a tiger. Pull and push. And then a shoulder strike. Pivot. Draw the bucket from the well. And then watch this. So this is, we're going to pivot. Step in. And then a downward push. And then white snake darts out its tongue. So this is part of the form, right? And if we were going to transition back to the A side, we'd go to 7 stars and then carry hammer, like so, right? But we won't do our loop around and around and around and around and around today. I'll show you what comes next. Okay, so from the A perspective, we get to inspect horse's mouth, okay? And if you're used to our loop, you're used to stepping back, which makes sense because a punch is coming at you, right? You've got some protection here. This is your protection, right? And then as soon as you step back, you don't need to protect yourself as much in the same way. But 9, which is pluck and rend, is counterintuitive because a punch is coming in and you actually step toward it. So that was a little zig in, zig back out, zig in, zig back out. The zigging out is you stepping behind your partner, and then this is pluck and rend. So pluck is a downward force, rend is downward plus upward equals rend, tearing, so okay? So you're coming up towards your partner's head, right? So we'll do that again. Inspect horse's mouth. So it's counterintuitive, it's the opposite of what we've been doing. So just close and step in, step out, step in, step out, and then boom, okay? From the other side. Right hand up, left hand down. Right foot forward, okay? So if we were to execute the move, it would be boom, right into our partner's eyes. But they push our elbow up, right? But anyway, so they push our elbow up and they punch, right? So we come in like this, protecting ourselves. The punch just whizzes right by us. It's not all our arm. Even if it just hit here, we would turn obliquely, and that takes all the steam out of a punch, right? Step in, step out, and then boom, like that. So let me do it again without so much explanation. So step in, out, in. Now this right foot here is stepping behind my partner because there's also, it's not just a strike, it's a trip. And I've got my partner's hand or their arm here holding them, and then boom. Okay? But it doesn't always work out that way. That's what I intend to do, but that's not how it's going to work out. So that's the movement. And now maybe I'll see if I can show you old video, or maybe Steve will help us out with. All right, and we're back. I'm here with Steve to demonstrate 8A and 8B. I'm A, he's B. We're going to take it back one movement before, just to kind of get our brain into it. So I'm going, and the distancing is all wrong because we're 10 feet away from each other, and this is all in each other's face. This is all really close. So use your imagination. I wish there was a way we could edit it to be closer, but we can't. So I'm in strum the lute, and Steve is in downward push with his left palm up and right palm down. And he's going to push this arm down, and as he does, I come around and come in to inspect horse's mouth, and his hand rolls under, and then as I strike towards his eyes, he nudges my elbow up. That's the opening of the snake's mouth, and then the darting of the tongue out is his right punch. So he punches in. So instead of stepping back, I actually close and step in. So I deflect his punch and turn my body. So even if I didn't deflect in time, I turn my body and I step in. And then that's just instinctive. And then I step out, and I'm going to take one more step behind him. And now I've gained control of his punching hand very lightly. And I'm going to draw that down. That's pluck. It's downward force. And then rend is this upward force, this ripping and tearing. The opposition of the two forces is rending. So his punching hand is going to ride this hand up in a big open gesture. He's going to step back. Now he's ready for parting the wild horse's mane. I'm totally vulnerable, and bam, what could I possibly do? You'll find out in the next video how I could possibly get out of this. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve. Okay, I think we did it. All right. Okay, I hope that made some sense if I was able to find some video. So this is the neatest thing, you guys. So the coolest thing is teaching you the form forces me to go back and check my notes, look at my books, do some research. And remember, I only tell you Chinese language if there's more meaning in the Chinese terminology than there is in the English. If the Chinese is just simply the English repeated, then there's no reason, except it's not impressive or anything like this. But this is so cool. Okay, Tian Zhaolin, who is a disciple of Yang Qianhu, calls, well, let's back up. Pluck and rend is a fancy name for split or lié. Lié is one of the 8 energies of Tai Chi. But split is a term for 2 things. It's this oppositional forces which are more powerful than either of the 2. The sum is more powerful than the 2 together. So pluck and rend is an old, no one even uses the term rend anymore, is an old term for like tearing. And pluck and rend shows you the 2 things that are going on. Pluck is like Sai. Pluck is a downward force, like Sai. Sai is another one of the 8 energies. And rend is the tearing that occurs when you combine the upward and the downward. So that's the basic, right? But going back, Tian Zhaolin, he refers to this movement in Chinese as Zhuo Bo Chui. And I did a little, thanks to Google Translate, I did a little work on that. And this is so great. That is part of a Chinese proverb which says, beware of low-hanging eaves. And if you can't hear me, low-hanging eaves, like the eaves of a roof. And I was telling Steve this, and Steve has traveled the world, and he says in other countries, eaves are really low. They'll take eaves down to here, right? And or here, and you have to duck under to go into some houses, right? And our eaves are way up here with hornets' nests and stuff. But so this movement, so this is like getting hit with a low-hanging eve, and that's so cool that it's so descriptive, and it's actually a Chinese proverb, or it's a short version of a Chinese proverb. So that's really cool. So that is our form instruction for today. And oh, you guys, I can't remember if I told you this last video, but our proverb for the day, let's do our lifting water. Today's proverb is so sad, and but it applies to our full moon set. It applies to this time of the year. It applies to COVID but maybe it doesn't apply to you. So if you have been quarantining with your entire family for the last 6 months, you're probably sick of your family, and this does not apply to you. But on the other hand, if you normally travel to see your family, or your family travels to see you, and your traveling has been reduced because of COVID, then this proverb is for you, and it's so sentimental. And again, I think I explained, it's based on the idea that in China, historically, family reunions were held in the fall. And so if you couldn't make it to a family reunion, you would feel very lonely as you looked up at the full moon, the big harvest moon. So the proverb is, hang on, let's do one more of these. Last one. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Don't leave. I forgot to show you the B side. I forgot to show you 9B. All right. 9B is so I come in, sorry you guys, but this is really cool now because you're in this meditative mood. This is how you're supposed to do the whole class. Ideally, you would meditate before class, have a cup of tea, and you'd be this relaxed. And when you're this relaxed, the knowledge just flows into you. So I'm super relaxed now. So 9B, sorry about that. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So this low-hanging Eve is coming towards you. You just made this punch. And this low-hanging Eve is coming towards you. So, you ride, so it's a forearm strike. You ride this up. And this is an implied white crane. It's not listed in the form, but it's a white crane nonetheless. So let's go back to here. White snake darts out its tongue. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go way, way back. We did a downward push with the right hand facing down, left hand facing up. And then our partner does inspect horse's mouth. We roll this hand under. This is the tricky part that you guys a lot of times forget. I'm pushing down on their arm, near their elbow. I roll this under to get this hand under. I never break contact. Okay? Right? So, and they don't even feel it. That's the beauty of it. This is like push hands. They don't feel it. And then they're compromised. When they do inspect horse's mouth, I nudge their arm up. Doesn't require very much force at all. This is white snake opening its mouth. The mouth has to open first before the tongue can come out. Okay, now you got it. Okay, here we go for number 9. They do pluck and rend. Okay, so I have this big arm coming at me. But they're not holding this arm very tightly, because that's not good Tai Chi. And if they were, I could use that. I could borrow their force, and we'd have to be in a whole different ballgame. So they release my arm, so I'm allowed to ride that strike up to where it's no longer a danger, step the foot back, and now parting the wild horse's mane. So their entire side is exposed. So I come to here. Okay, let's do it again. Start here. One move before. Downward push, roll the hand under, open the snake's mouth, stick the snake's tongue out, right up, the strike's coming in, ride it up, so it's a little white crane, step back, and then boom. And we can be holding on to them too, lightly, you know, and because two can play that game always, so I can hold them while I strike. Okay, so from the other side. Other side, other side, other side. Okay, from the downward push. And we're not going to do it on the left side. We're not going to change sides. It's still right foot forward, right hand down, left. Okay, so just so we're clear. They come in to inspect horse's mouth. I roll that under. As they try to stick their fingers in my eyes, I nudge their arm upward. Now they're vulnerable. And the white snake darts out its tongue, right? And then they're holding this arm and they begin to come at me like this. Why don't I deflect up with this? Because I have more things in store for this. I have better things in store. So I come to here. This is my right hand. See, and then I step back. This is what I was waiting for. This hand has to be free. I'm holding on to their hand here for me to do parting the wild horse's mane. Right? One more time. Another after that, you can back it up if you don't get it. We're here. Roll that under, nudge that up. So this is the mouth of the snake opening. This is the tongue coming out. White crane. Hope you get that. And then parting the wild horse's mane. Okay, I'm sorry, my fingers shouldn't be open. Close your hands. Okay, good. Okay, great. And I don't know if you can see, one more thing. This is a great strike, you guys. Can you see the heavy bag over there? Okay, so can't do this to you guys because of COVID, right? So it would be, so there, like that. See? So that's what we're doing. Okay. All right. Okay. One more lifting water. No, two more. First one doesn't count. Okay, great. Sorry about that, you guys. And if anyone was screaming at their video, what about the B side? Good for you. Good for you. If you noticed it immediately and felt that you were being robbed of the B side, good for you. Okay. Our ancient Chinese and very sentimental proverb is, when the full moon shines most brightly in the fall, homesickness multiply. All right, and I don't know if you can hear that. One more time. When the full moon shines largest in the fall, homesickness multiply. Oh, it's so sad. Okay, great to see you guys. Thank you so much for your interest and your support. Tell your friends, right? Anybody who who has always wanted to try Tai Chi, this is the greatest thing, is you can do anything you want on Zoom or in videos, right? This is perfect time. You don't have to come here and meet these weird people. It's a great time to see if you know somebody that might like Tai Chi, just send them a link to the videos. And great. Anyway, great. Glad to see you.